This is Joshua Hayward from Breath of Life, and I want to welcome you to Life Readings, This Week in the Stars and Cards. And this is a weekly series offering you some opportunities in consciousness and in purpose to get some information that can really generate a big heart space in you and open your energies to a more informed and more awesome and wonderful life. And so thanks for watching and enjoy. This is the week that you've been waiting for, probably for a pretty long time, and whether you were actually consciously thinking about that or not, I don't know, but this is the week that does not have any retrograding planets. So Mercury has turned back around direct, and preceding that, Venus did the same. All the bigger outer planets have all changed direction, and so we've got a course of I wouldn't say clear sailing moving forward, but it might be a little bit clearer. I mean, not in this world anymore, but but the way things are right now. There's no retrograding energy pulling you back to get little lessons to show you where you need to shore things up. It's not a ton of surprises, so if kind of some weird things happen for you, it's more about your own personal thing rather than something that the rest of us are sharing. So we're always learning lessons. We're always growing. If not for that, I wouldn't even bother with this channel, or certainly with this particular series. So anyway, welcome to This Week in the Stars and Cards. And for your Breath of Life reading this week, things are moving directly forward. Okay, so what does that mean? Let's go back just for a minute and see that just on Saturday, I think it was, or Friday, I guess maybe Friday, Mercury stationed, but it was to go back direct, but it was on a conjunction to Pluto. I don't know how you experienced this last weekend, and of course this is the week beginning February 6th on Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday, and how the last few days have been for you. During the last episode, we talked about taking personal time, to bring a few things into clarity before moving forward. Now there is that forward-moving thing, but how you experienced the Mercury station could have been really interesting. It was very intense for me. It was on a conjunction to Pluto. And I didn't talk about that so much, but surprise, surprise, huh? So if you had some real strange past few days, maybe it was just me, I don't know. But there were some hidden things that were being released, about the structure of your life and how that fits into the structure of the big picture of the world and stuff like that. At least things have changed now. And so what's going on is that as Venus has gone direct and moving forward in earnest, it's forming a conjunction and a kind of an interesting connection with Mars. It's a conjunction. And that is, of course, in the sign of Capricorn. And as this week begins, and as Super Bowl Sunday and everything else begins for the week, we're looking at Mars and Venus on a trine from Capricorn to Uranus. This is only a brief thing, just sort of for the beginning of this week. You could say it sort of carries over maybe for the whole week. But as you watch this episode, hopefully early on in the week, know that there's a Mars and Venus, it's very personal, it's about the masculine and feminine energies. It's how you assert yourself and how you see yourself doing that, how you're being creative, and that creative aspect, and then the powerful moving forward of things. Those two planets, Mars and Venus, in conjunction, and so you can kind of see that's a powerful time. There's so much. I could do 3 episodes just on what Mars and Venus do when they conjunct, but that's not for today. Okay, for this episode, know that Mars and Venus are in Capricorn, so there is not only the relationship aspect, but there's the self-assertion and there's the professionality of Capricorn. So there's a workingness there. This could be in your personal relationships and in your own personal balance of masculine, feminine energy. We're kind of looking at that really briefly as a species right now. So anyway, where we go from that, the next step as we build this week here, Uranus is the planet of change. It's that iconoclastic destabilization, searching for freedom kind of thing, but in that very stable planet, it's in the very stable sign of Taurus, okay? So Uranus in Taurus is trying to break up what we think is important and to get us to focus on what really will be important. We want the dust to settle, and we want to see that we're moving forward to something that is not only practical but very creative and working and things like that. So these are earth signs that we're talking about, so it's very much in tune with the everyday stuff. So that's kind of what I've got for you in terms of what's really important right now. Those two on a trine, a brief trine to Uranus, Venus trine Uranus, that means positive change can happen. Mars trine Venus, very positive change. It might have been a real rocky 2021 and even a fairly crazed start for 2022. But now we're kind of lining up, and with the information that you have, what I have for you is to connect with not only yourself but the people you're close with, and to begin to form a collective or a relationshipal agreements of some sort to move forward to the new vision for change, what's going to actually work. And this can be, like I said, it can be in business, it even can be in romance too, if you're if you're looking at the practical sides of how a relationship could work in that department. So, but you can see what I'm saying here. There is this moving forward for positive goals that can have to do with restructuring your life. It can have to do with relationship. It also can have to do with business and money. And deciding what's really important. Probably you've really looked into that already, because that's what the transits have been about. So now is that time of moving forward and, solidifying those relationships, once again, internally with yourself and externally with those people. There could be some changes in who you're working with. That could still change a little bit, because it always can, but it's more likely to settle down before too long. So let's begin to take a look at the cards for this week. sort of last week was more like personal time, but this is more like personal movement and moving forward on those personal levels and business levels as well. So, the first card for this week. Interesting, isn't it? I just pulled out the Lovers card, okay? So it doesn't necessarily mean romance. Like I said, it could. But this is that Mars-Venus that you see in the Lovers card. There it is. And so that's got to do with relationship. So feeling joined with yourself and with those people that you're going to move forward with. Very, very important. As I look at the card to see if there are any triggers for me to sort of talk to you about it, I look at the card and I see that there's this harmony of wanting to move forward. And in this card, the sign Gemini is there. And so that reminds me that communication being real important, especially in terms of practicality and what's going to work. And, you know, just remembering that relationship, you know, is it's a pretty volatile thing right now. So you're really looking, before I pull any other cards, I'm really looking for a stabilization as you're moving forward. This card may be Geminian, but Mars and Venus right now are really, they're in the sign of Capricorn. So it's really very, you know, much of a stabilizing kind of time and seeing what works. The second card for this week, and usually if you've been watching the channel here, if you've been watching this series, you'll see that I usually just draw about 6 cards. Sometimes it's 7 or 8. Or anyway, the second card here is what is the relationship and what's the thing to watch for, because this is the card called worry. It's the 5 of discs, or in other decks, pentacles, the earth. Okay, so there's a negative side of worry, you know, and that is that you're not trusting. And you're just like going, okay, is this going to work or whatever? This is saying to really release that kind of energy and those things as you're moving forward. This is saying to look out for that, but it's also saying that Crowley talks about the designer of this deck here. He talks about a sheepdog worrying the sheep into the, through the pasture and getting them to where they need to go. So there is like a kind of, with that card, there's a getting after it kind of thing, which it may be a strong suit or for you, or it may not, but that's the case. Let's see a little bit more about what might be happening. And wow, this is a beautiful card. And all right, this is called abundance. It's the 3 of Cups. And notice that these cups are renewable. They're being filled up. And it's the 3 of that suit of water. So abundance has got to do with how things feel. It's got to do with the flowingness of things. And I'm going to harken back to something that my sister said to me. She said that, this is that internally flowing and filling and flowing of the cups is from the Holy Spirit. And that's a really good way of looking at that. I think that is the truth, that Spirit gives us what we need at all times. And on an ego level, we're either able to see that and work with it, or we're not. Okay? So feeling the abundance that's there, that's flowing, rather than being all worrying and stuff, and Well, I mentioned this last week, but I'll mention it again too. It's almost like, no, this reading isn't just for me. It's for you. Because these are some of my issues. And that's always going to be that way, you know. And this is another beautiful thing because, well, here's the Priestess card. And she is the one that fills the cups. Okay, so this is the Holy Spirit. Okay, now if you're looking from Judaism, she would be called the Shekhinah. Okay, so the Shekhinah is sort of that equivalent. It's that Spirit of God that's always reaching us, always reaching out to us, always wants to be with us. So there for you this week, so far with those 4 cards, there's this positivity of your connection with others or with someone and your connection with spirit, and also almost a transcendence of the negative mind space that we're seeing so far. You can always remember that Spirit's fulfilling all of our needs if we allow that to happen. The next card is, well, knowing that, here's the Adjustment card, formerly called Justice in other decks. Libra, you know, seeking the balance in this, and the Hebrew letter Lamed, which means sort of like a penetration into deeper learning as you're adjusting. Okay? And so I'm just for some reason I'm just told to tell you that don't seek justice in the outer world so much. That's what everyone wants so much. There's so much seeking of what's right and what's just, and nobody even knows. It doesn't seem like it anyway. Part of the problem is that we're so polarized, and one side over here and the other side over here sees only that which they are seeing, and a need for some kind of justice that the other side doesn't hold, and hence the major conflict that's going on right now. Let's not worry about that. If I were you, or if I were me, I would make adjustments in my life and to bring myself into balance, and then I can make a difference for myself and for others, and you can too. This is the truth, all right? So adjusting to all that stuff that I've been talking about earlier, you know, and moving into trust, you know, moving into trust in that flow of abundance. Okay, and the 6th card, which I think will be the last card, is the 3 of Discs, or the 3 of Earth. And this is about what works. And so this week is a magnificent opportunity to set things into motion, clearing yourself out, you know, really working with somebody else if that's the case, or really coming together with a better relationship internally, and seeing what needs to be done and moving forward and letting the resources come. Tell God, you know, if you don't like that word God, you know, talk to the Spirit, talk to the Holy Spirit, talk to your form of how you connect spiritually. You're moving into source energy, and as you move with these other cards, this one is there too. There's a sense of workingness. And you can see the 3 there. There are wheels right here. And that means things are turning. And that means your work is actually moving forward. Okay, and 3 is also a kind of a number of birthing things out. It's got to do with form taking shape and structure into motion. And that happens in this card. So there's a real liveliness there, and so there's in number 3 also births things into form. Okay, so there's a good sense of workingness this week. And so I think that we're going to stop with the 6 cards there because it's real clear. I don't need to reach for anything else there. I'm hoping that as you're listening, that you're actually starting to see, okay, this can happen in this, and I need to talk to blah, blah, blah. One final thing, though, with that inner adjustment to not reacting to the craziness of life, the workingness comes from the knowingness of the Spirit that's pouring through you, into you, and through you. And so the inner adjustment means that you're not making choices based on fear and based on resistance to what you don't want and based on thinking that, you can't trust, or you can't trust others, or you can't trust yourself, or you can't trust God, or what have you. That inner adjustment seeds the path before you, seeds your journey with events and situations that are waiting for you to uplift you as you go along, or to at least get your attention in a kinder, gentler, in a graceful way. That's the thing about Spirit and about the Holy Spirit, is that it's received through grace.